Welcome, I'm Rabbi Phil Bressler of Beit Am in Corvallis, Oregon, and this is the daily summary video for the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Yomi Daily Halakha Learning Project, covering the passage from Siman 88 Seif 15 to Siman 89 Seif 3. You can find links to the Hebrew and English text of this passage and to the calendar of upcoming passages in this video's description. Still talking about the concept of muktzeh. If you've missed previous videos, I highly recommend going back and checking them out to get an idea of what we're talking about. Don't move a corpse on Shabbat. I guess that's nolad, something that's just been created that day. You can, however, take steps to slow decomposition, also to keep the mouth from opening by itself. We don't conduct Jewish burials on Shabbat itself, so that's one reason to suspend funeral preparations. You would obviously go ahead and get started working on that as soon as Shabbat goes out on Saturday evening. If a fire breaks out, however, you can move the corpse along with some permitted object. You just sort of stack them together. And if none is available, just go ahead and move that body. You're not going to let it be defiled or burned up and not buried just because of muktzeh. Things like dung, poop, etc. If that's in your house or in your yard, you can remove it to a trash repository. A chamber pot can be emptied on Shabbat. As long as it's still in your hand, you can put it back where it was. But once you empty it and then put it down, it's a useless and gross thing, so it can't be moved. So you got to hold on to it and do it in one motion to put it back where it was. Obviously, not a big issue for those of us with modern plumbing, but you can imagine at one time. You can put a vessel, like a bucket, under a leak on Shabbat, and you can take it and empty it out and put it back, as long as the water is reasonably clean. If it's dirty, then it's sort of like the chamber pot, and there's an issue that's explained in a long footnote there. And remember, this is all just for Shabbat. Muktzeh is actually more stringent on Yom Tov, and we'll cover that elsewhere. A subcategory in the next siman of muktzeh are bases for prohibited objects. So as we mentioned 2 days ago, an object can be muktzeh if it's the base or support for a muktzeh object. And as we mentioned yesterday, something muktzeh, if it falls on something not muktzeh on Shabbat, that doesn't create a base. You can pick the non-muktzeh, the permitted thing up, and shake the prohibited thing off. Bases are only created when you intentionally put a muktzeh object down on top of something before Shabbat begins. Even if the muktzeh thing gets moved somehow, the base is still muktzeh, because you weren't intending to use that on Shabbat. If you've got a base for a muktzeh object and for two things, one which is muktzeh and one which is not, whether the supporting object is then itself muktzeh or not depends on which of those two objects is more important to you. If the permitted thing is more important, then the base is permitted, and if the muktzeh thing is more important to you, then the whole thing is muktzeh. For example, your Shabbat table. You want to put the challah on the table before twilight. That makes the table and the tablecloth the base for both your candles, which are muktzeh, and your challah, which is not. And now you can handle the table and tablecloth on Shabbat, where if you didn't do that, you wouldn't be able to. Money that's in a garment pocket, you can handle the garments. The pocket is considered the base, not the whole garment itself. That's different, though, from a drawer in a table that has money in it. You can't move the table. The drawer is considered its own vessel and not part of the table. We'll keep talking about bases for prohibited objects tomorrow, but that's all for today. As always, our learning is dedicated to Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried, the author of the Kitzur, and the historic Jewish community of Uzhhorod, Ukraine. We'll see you tomorrow.